Hi, thank you so much for joining me today. So today we're talking about the Biologique Recherche Serum de Teint. And I purchased shade number 1. I purchased it online, sight unseen, but it is a tinted moisturizer. So, there are only 5 shades that they released, but they're supposed to kind of like work with your skin to kind of give you a natural coverage. And from my understanding, for many people, more than one shade should actually blend out to work for them. For me, I went with the lightest, shade number 1. All right, so the bottle comes packaged in a cardboard box with plastic casing around it. And I do have a video where I opened this, I read the box, and we kind of went over my first day that I wore it. Just a couple things to note. The active ingredients are prickly pear oil, film former, butterfly tree flowers extract, and an anti-pollution polysaccharide. So the directions for use are to shake well before using it and to apply with your fingers or a brush. So for application method, I've tried brush, I've tried fingers, and I also tried a beauty blender. I personally don't really like to use beauty blenders too often. I do occasionally use them, particularly more for like concealer type products, but for something this thin, I feel like the beauty blender is kind of a waste and you just kind of have to wash it quickly because it really just soaks up too much of the product and it doesn't provide any, in my experience at least, it doesn't provide any better coverage or a better finish or anything. So I wouldn't bother with the beauty blender myself. So between fingers and brush, I do have a clip here to show you of what the application method looks like with a brush versus fingers. I'll show that to you guys in a minute. Real quickly, let me talk about the brush. I also purchased the brush that they released with this, and this was, I believe, $50, and the Serum de Teint is $140. So most expensive tinted moisturizer that I have purchased, but it's actually considered more skincare. So whether you believe that or not, they actually, on their website, this is considered a finishing serum for after skincare. They're not truly considering it makeup. It's not supposed to provide a ton of coverage or anything. So we'll get more into that in just a second. Let me go back to this brush. This brush, I really like this. So you can see it's an angled foundation style brush and it's an oval. So you can see that it is kind of an oval shape, and it's sturdy because I did use it for application. But another thing that I like about it is this is not a straight angle. It does curve up and it really kind of fits with your cheek really nicely. I think this is got a good density of bristles. It's firm yet soft. It is synthetic, so you don't have to worry about, breakage or anything with natural hair bristles. So I thought it was a really well designed brush. I'm glad I picked it up. So just there's that. Another thing I wanted to mention, I did purchase this from a place that I had never purchased before. It's called LABRECQUE Salon in New York. So I don't know if any of you guys are familiar with it, but I couldn't find a place around me that sold it online. And I had a very good experience with them. This is, I'm not affiliated in any way with them, but they had it available for pre-order. So I pre-ordered it. They shipped it out immediately once it was available, and I had it in my mailbox the very next day. So I purchased the Serum de Teint, the brush, and then they gave me these samples of some more Biologique Recherche items. So these are all 4 milliliters. I've got a face cream, a face mask, and a brightening face cream. So 2 face creams and a face mask. So overall, good experience with them. And, I didn't have to pay for shipping, which is always a plus as well. So onto the actual product. By the way, excuse my voice. I'm not sick. It is actually just related to my springtime allergies. So hopefully I'll pass soon. My allergies don't usually last too long. All right, so claims for this product. So it claims to moisturize, and I feel that it does do that. It does feel more like a lotion when you put it on, and it stays very hydrating throughout the day. Another thing, minimizes the appearance of blemishes, protects as a shield against urban particulate pollutants and free radicals induced by solar radiation. So they're including UV rays, blue light, and infrared radiation. It has an easy application and there will be no line when you apply it. Natural coverage with a fluid texture. It brightens and evens out complexion. It has a healthy glow effect, and it's non-greasy, non-comedogenic, and silicone-free. So onto these claims. I feel overall this is a very moisturizing, a tinted moisturizer. I have worn it with primers underneath. I've worn it without primers. I've worn it with and without setting powder all the time. I've found that my skin has never dried out due to this, and it's been very comfortable. I never get that tight, dry feeling. So my skin is normal, but right now with the change in seasons, my skin always goes a little wacky and gets a little dry when seasons are changing. So right now it's a little drier than it is the majority of the year. So I am normal leading dry, and it felt very comfortable. So one thing I've noticed, when I apply it on my hand, you can see that it does look like it's a little dark, but it does really sheer out very, very nicely and kind of blends in with my skin tone anyway, and really does kind of just even things out. So you can see how well that blends in, and I think it really would work well for a variety of skin tones. So the fact that there are only 5 shades, I feel like, it may actually be successful that way. All right, so minimizing the appearance of blemishes. I think with that, it's really just like coating a little bit of the redness associated with that. And I think minimize is the key word. It's not going to cover anything. It's just going to do a very, very minimal lessening of the red tone. So my cheeks are pretty red. You can see when I apply it, how much the redness gets minimized. But, for like a really angry blemish or anything, you're going to want to use a concealer. This is not anything that's meant to provide any real coverage. It's really meant more to even out your skin tone and kind of balance the tones that you have in your skin. And I feel like it does accomplish that, but is not going to provide coverage. So if you are not having a good skin day, you'd want to pair this with some spot applications for a concealer. So protecting as a shield, there's no way I can determine whether it does that or not. I have noticed I've been using this for a week now, and I haven't had any skin issues or anything related to this. Easy application with no line. That is true. I've never noticed a line with this. I did occasionally, I don't blend super well here, and I have noticed a little extra pigment, so I blended that out. And even when it was later, it just went away, no problem. Healthy glow effect, I would agree with. I think it really does kind of balance things out and just makes your skin overall look very natural and healthy. And again, yeah, that's basically everything. So overall for this serum, I'll get to my final thoughts at the very end, but I do like it. So I have a couple things to show you, a couple of clips. I have a full day wear test that I'm going to show you. And then I also have the application with my fingers versus a brush. And I personally prefer using the brush for application. I just feel like it just looks a little bit better. So it's very minimal though. So I'll show you guys those, and then I'll be back at the end for my final thoughts. Thanks. Okay, so today I just wanted to show you the difference between applying with my fingers versus using the brush. So I've got the Biologique Recherche Serum de Teint here, and you can see my face looks like beforehand. All right, so I'll do the right side with my fingers and the left side with the brush. Okay, so here's one pump, and now my face does get a little bit more red from the pressure of my fingers compared to using the brush. So we'll have to let it calm down for a minute or two just to get the true appearance. All right, and then for the brush, I'm just gonna apply some spots here, and I'm using the Biologique Recherche brush. Just going to apply a little bit more to each side. Okay. Oops. So this is immediately after application. I'll be back in a couple minutes so you can just see what it looks like after it sets down. Okay, so it's been a minute or two, and this is basically what it looks like. So you can see that the serum, it really kind of soaks into your skin and just provides a really natural coverage. Like there's no, like I cannot tell where the tint is at all. So this is the side that I used the brush. This is the side that I did not. And I feel like coverage is very similar on both of them. Now, as it was drying down, this side took a little bit longer to kind of soak in. It felt like there was a little bit more product there. Like it was a little tackier to touch. But I feel like it looks better when I use the brush versus my fingers. So it's a pretty similar, appearance with the application, but I do prefer the brush. So I will be back later. Thanks. Okay, so today we're going to do a full day wear test on the Biologique Recherche Serum de Teint. I'm just sitting here shaking this. I am using shade number 1, and I have worn this a few days already, and I personally prefer using it with a brush, and I've been using the brush that I purchased with it. This is the Biologique Recherche face brush that they designed for use with the Serum de Teint. So what I'm going to do is just put one pump out. That's one full pump. And you can see when you kind of shear it out that it really will blend in well. So I feel like this serum really does shear out so well that it works for a wide variety of skin tones. Because I think they only have 5 different 5 different shades, but I do think that they did a good job with the coloration of them and the formula, so that it really does seem like it would work well for a variety of skin tones. So when you put this on, it really feels like a moisturizer. It's very moisturizing, and right after you put it on, it feels like you just put lotion on your face. So it's kind of what the texture is. It's like a thin lotion texturally. All right, so my skin is it's usually normal to slightly dry, but with the change in seasons and everything going on right now, it is on the drier side. Every time the seasons change, my skin just kind of goes a little haywire. So right now it's kind of in the process of doing that, and it has been leaning dry recently. So this, when I put it on, it feels very moisturizing. You have a little bit of that tackiness until it soaks in, but after a couple minutes, it soaks right in, and then you don't really feel it. So I'm actually not going to wear makeup today. I will set this with powder on. Let's do the right side. So I think for powder today, let's set the face with, I'm going to use the Pat McGrath. This is the under eye blurring powder in light. It's very similar, in my opinion, to the By Terry Hyaluronic Hydro Powder. So I'm just gonna set my right side of my face with this. I'm actually gonna be doing the under eye wear test for the Pat McGrath concealer today as well. So I'm gonna kind of share products. So I just got a tiny bit. This is the Sonia G Face One brush. And I'm just gonna put a little bit on. And just like the By Terry Hyaluronic Hydro Powder, it you just need a tiny, tiny bit. So you can see already that it has blurred a bit compared to this. And the Biologique Recherche Serum de Teint also did some blurring. So kind of layering these together gives a pretty good blurring effect. And I have also layered it with the Surat Perfectioniste Primer and gotten even more blurring. So they do kind of layer on nicely. So, all right, I'll be back later with an update. Thank you. Okay, so I'm back with a 5-hour update. So this right side is the side with the setting powder. Let me get close so you can kind of take a look. And over here on my left, there is no setting powder. So I feel like when you look face on, you know, there's slightly more blurring on the side with the setting powder, but honestly, they are pretty similar. And texture-wise, to say, I have to look at the, you know, claims and so forth of this product a little bit closer, but there does seem to be like a little bit of a plumping feeling to my skin. So it just feels a little bit more taut. And I don't know, just like a little tighter in general, like not like a dry tightness, but like a taut tightness. So I gotta check into the claims and see if there's anything that it mentions about that. But I think overall what it does is it's giving like a slight tint to my skin, and it really kind of melts into your skin a little bit, so that I think the colors really work. You know, I think it would work well for pretty much anybody. So, I mean, depending what shade you get, but in general, I feel like it kind of adjusts itself a little bit to your skin. So I feel like it looks a little bit better like 10 minutes after it was applied versus right initially when it was applied. And I feel like it looks really natural. You can't see that I have anything on. And it does give a little bit of blurring. You can see to my redness. Again, there's really no coverage with this. It's a tinted moisturizer, so you're not really going to get much coverage at all. So whatever your skin's looking like that day is pretty much what you're going to see, with just a little bit of a blurring effect to it and a little bit of a tint to make your color look a little bit more homogeneous. So yeah, that's, I think so far it is holding up well. I haven't had any transfer issues or anything. Again, it's allergy season and I've blown my nose a few times, and I didn't have any transfer on the tissue or anything like that. It's staying on well. Neither side feels like greasy or moist or anything. And I haven't really noticed any breakup or anything around the nose or anything. So, so far, so good. So I'll be back later with another update. Thanks. Okay, so I'm back with my final update for the Biologique Recherche, and it has been 9 hours now. And if you take a look from back here, I feel like both sides look fairly similar. And then if we get up close, this is the side with the setting powder. Okay, and this is the side without any powder. So again, for setting powder, I used the Pat McGrath. This is the blurring under eye powder, but I used a very light layer all over. This is one of those powders where a light touch is good, too much and it gets kind of like dry looking. So it was just a very light touch, and I feel like it did add some additional blurring to that side. And although both sides look pretty similar, I feel like the side with the powder does look a little bit better, and just like a little bit more even. And yeah, I don't notice any like breaking up or accumulation of the serum anywhere. It really kind of soaked in my skin, and it hasn't gotten like greasy feeling or anything. The side with the powder feels slightly smoother, but it's really pretty similar. So
yeah, I think overall that is going to be something, you know, it's really great for a day when you don't feel like wearing makeup, but again, there's not much coverage. So you're going to need to make sure you're having a decent skin day at least, or use a concealer to kind of cover up spots, which I did not do. So, yeah, overall, so far, I think, so good. And I will give you guys my final thoughts. Again, I've been testing this for several days now, so I've worn it a few different ways, and I'll go over that as well. So just one more time up close. So no powder. Yes, powder. So pretty similar. All right. And yeah, that's it. So I'll see you back here for my final thoughts. Thanks.
Okay, so I'm back with my final thoughts. I hope those clips were helpful. Overall, the Serum de Teint, it is an expensive tinted moisturizer. If it provides any benefits due to skincare and so forth, I have no way of judging that. However, I do like the actual product. I like the tint that it gives me, and I like how minimal coverage it is. So again, their website refers to this as a finishing serum under skincare. They're not technically classifying it as makeup. So I've worn this on like the days that I actually haven't even worn any other makeup and so forth. And I think it really is just a nice way to kind of balance out your skin tone, and nobody can tell you really have anything on. It just kind of, makes everything look a touch better than your natural skin, at least for me. So I do really like this product. Now, I did note in the full day wear test that my skin felt a little bit more taut while using this, and that is there are no claims to any firming benefits or anything, but I have noticed that when I apply it, my skin feels a little bit tighter, not dryness tight, but tight, like firm. So I like that. Again, it's just a temporary effect while you have it on, but I have noticed that I do feel that throughout the day. When I was getting to the end of the full day wear test, I wasn't really noticing that or anything, but definitely still at the 5-hour update, I still could feel the tautness of my skin. So, again, that is not something that they claim, but it is something that I personally feel like I noticed, although it's possible it's in my head, but, let's see here, other things to note. Application wise, I've mentioned that I do prefer the brush method. I just feel like the application looks a little bit smoother, but the finger method is pretty similar. I don't even know if you guys could tell a difference on the camera. So personal preference, but I do really like the serum. I feel like one pump is sufficient to go over my face 1 to 2 times. So, you don't really need a ton of this. Layering it will provide slightly more coverage, but I haven't experienced like it's not significant. So in my opinion, if you do want to cover something, you're going to want to use some like spot concealer, or even like a little bit of foundation or something. So this is really more just like a tinted moisturizer to kind of balance things out. And I think it's gonna be great during the summer when you really don't feel like putting on makeup and so forth. And obviously I'm wearing it today, and I feel like even though I applied makeup over it, it still looks, fairly decent. Obviously my face doesn't look quite as, the skin tone's not as homogeneous as when I use like a foundation, but I feel like it's got a good natural balance to it. All right. Okay, so just a couple more things I wanted to note about the product. So this is 30 milliliters or 1 ounce, and it is made in France, and it has an expiration date in the box. For mine, the expiration date is July 2022. And I think overall, this is a really nice product. So again, online, they consider it a finishing serum, and I have seen it noted online, not directly on their website, but I forget where is another website that sells this. They noted that you could actually use this under foundation. I have not tried that. Honestly, I was looking more for a tinted moisturizer to wear on those no makeup days. And for me, this really fits the bill nicely. I like it. And I think it has a really great texture. So I have worn this over sunscreen, and no issues with that. I haven't had any issues with any pilling or flaking or anything like that. I mentioned before that it felt like my skin got a little bit tauter with that, with the product. And I've noticed that when I layer it over the Citrate Perfectioniste Primer, that feeling is amplified. So the two of them together both make my skin feel much more firm than either of them do alone. But yeah, just a note. And another thing, if you do use a Perfectioniste Primer with this, I really feel like you don't, well, honestly, you don't need to set this with powder ever. But this really does give it a more drier, matte feeling when you pair these together. Not that your skin's dry, just like powder dry. It feels more like a powder, like a cream to powder type product would as it dries down to a powder finish. So that's just something to note. So that is the primer that I have paired it with so far, and I did like it. I've also paired it with the Supergoop Unseen Sunscreen, and I paired it with another sunscreen. I forget which one, but it was not like so silicone based. And again, I didn't have any issues pairing or layering any of these things. I have also used the product with cream products and powder products for makeup. No issues with anything. So overall, I am a fan of this product, and I'm looking forward to trying more products from this line or this brand. So I hope this was helpful. Any questions, comments, or suggestions on the product, please let me know down below. And if you like the video, please give me a thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already, and I hope to see you in my next video. Thank you so much. Have a great day.